Hi there, I'm Pedro, and this is the 10x Your Character podcast, a dialogue experience in which I interview millennials and post-millennials from different backgrounds with the goal to inspire you to become a responsible individual in society. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Hey there, this is Pedro speaking. Welcome to today's show. I'm super pumped for you guys to watch today's episode, primarily because it's the first ever episode of 10x Your Character, but more importantly because we have a special guest today. His name is Stratos Chat. He's my best friend and also a social media marketer. He owns a marketing agency that primarily focuses on online businesses. So if you have an info product or an e-commerce store, he's the guy to help. But more importantly, because we're going to be discussing a very important topic in our generation today, which is self-confidence and self-worth. We're going to be going very in depth of why we think that a lot of people in our generation, millennials and post-millennials, lack self-confidence, and what are some actionable steps for us to start developing that aspect of our personality in order for us to be starting to make decisions that are to our own best interest. So I'm super pumped. I hope you guys enjoy today's show, and more importantly, don't just watch it. Make sure that you absorb the content and apply it to your lifestyle, which is the most important part of, watching content. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you later. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. Welcome aboard, Stratos.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man, it's a great pleasure to have you here, especially. How does it feel to be a 10x Your Character?
It feels amazing. I'm really happy, especially that I'm one of the 10 first people you're interviewing and having conversations with. I'm really ready for this.
Yeah. I think it's great to invite my best friend and also, a marketer. And I think we're both going the same route and traveling around the same path. So I think that we're going to share a lot of insights that we both discuss on a daily basis that we think are important for our generation. So I want to get right into it. But before we do, let the listeners know a little bit of yourself. If you could tell us, some background story of who you are.
Of course. So my name is Stratos. As he said, it's a Greek name. I am from Greece. I moved to America 8 years ago with my family. And when I came here, I started high school. The first 3 years were extremely rough. Mm-hmm. I went through a lot of, I would say, minor depression.
Yeah.
And a lot of struggles. Seriously, it was pretty tough. And eventually, of course, as always, it all got better. I moved to the same high school as you, if you remember, for the last 2 years of high school. And right after it, I went to a community college in Santa Monica. And my plan was to become a doctor, actually, because I was very influenced by the people around me as well as my family. And in very shortly, what happened is I dropped out of it because I decided to pursue entrepreneurship. It was far more interesting, and I just liked it a lot. It was always in me to create things myself. Mm-hmm. So right now, I'm a year and a half in my entrepreneurship journey. So that's a little bit of a quick backstory about me.
Love it. I think that's lovely. And that's why I wanted to bring you in for this specific episode because, the topic is self-confidence and self-worth. Right. And why is it so important to build a strong character, especially in our generation? And that brings me right into the first topic, right? Because I do know things about you. And I know that going through Santa Monica College in the beginning and then transitioning from a medical major to entrepreneurship and deciding to drop out, it was a whole journey in of itself, right? Man. And I know that there was a lot of, I would say, lack of direction and even, let's say, lack of self-confidence because I really do feel, and I strongly say this, that society and parents have failed and school has failed people in our generation.
I agree
and
with that.
They're coming out of high school without having no clue of who they are, which is normal. It's like you're 18, you're 17. Yeah. You don't have all the things figured out, right? You just start a life. Yeah. But to make such a strong commitment to pursue a specific career, and most people are influenced on the people around them and what they're pursuing, and you start picking those things off based on those people instead of pursuing what's in your heart. So I wanted to kind of ask you, like, do you see this lack of direction and freedom of choice in a way? And would you say that it comes from a lack of self-confidence? And if you can kind of just, give some ideas of your experience and shed some light.
I definitely see that, especially in kids, right when they get out of high school. I remember most of my friends, no one really knows what they want to do, right? They just kind of, they're influenced usually by their parents and their friends, and that's why they just go to college. They apply because everyone applies, right?
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I guess I have to do it too. So it's one of these things. So everyone just goes and does it, and without really asking themselves and looking deeper into themselves, what they really like and what they want to do in life. Because first of all, choosing what you want to do for the rest of your life at 18 almost sounds too funny. Right?
It's ironic,
you're only
right?
18. Like, how come you know what you want to do for the rest of your life? And because, it's the rest of your life. You better do something that makes you happy, brings a good good money, at least, so you can survive, because there's rent, there's food, there's kids, etc. And, so it's a big decision. And I do believe that parents, as well as teachers many times, kind of force you a little too much to go right away to college and just decide on a major and just follow that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the way I see is this: self-confidence is in a way a pillar to start making choices from your own will, based on your own conclusions. And the second that you lack that, you're going to start looking for outside approval, or you're going to start basing your decisions of what the people around you are making, right?
Right.
So let's say, for example, right at high school, when I was applying to college, I was looking at what my friends are applying to where, and I was applying those.
That always happens. For everyone,
and
that happens.
Essentially, I was just like, I see myself doing business. Let's pursue business. So I go to Santa Monica College as well, and thinking that I'm still doing business, but thinking that, I'm just going to get a business degree, work for someone, etc. And there was this huge lack of self-worth or self-identity. And the second that I started working on that, it's when I started realizing, like, wow, I haven't really dug deep in myself and asked myself what I really want out of life. Or
it's an uncomfortable moment, right?
Yeah, and it's very uncomfortable. And I feel like a lot of people our ages just decide to follow this, like, let life carry me, instead of, like, let me actually make decisions and bring the future self that I want to be into existence by the actions. And you kind of lose that, and you're always unsatisfied, right? Because here's the commonality, right? A lot of people are in comfort zones, but they're not comfortable, because you can't be in a comfortable zone and actually be 100% comfortable in the sense of you being satisfied with who you are, because you always know that there's more to you.
Yes, you always know that, of course.
And the comfortable zone brings that out, because you could be doing things right now that would bring, in a sense, you would bring the next version of yourself into existence, but you're sacrificing who you could be for who you are currently.
Just because it's comfortable,
Yeah. And that brings me to the second point, specifically entrepreneurship, right? Because I see this culture of, like, in a sense, just kids thinking that it's something cool, sexy to do.
Man.
And, quit your 9 to 5. But it's like the
zero upfront cost. No money needed.
And here's the funny part. It's like, okay, yeah, you will quit your 9 to 5 to become an entrepreneur, but now you're working from 6 a.m. to 10 at night.
Exactly. Only for yourself, and you're going to see no results for the next year. How does it sound? Good?
Yeah.
Return on investment for the first year, minus 200.
Yeah. And, I think that long-term it has awful effects, because kids are, as I said, they don't have self-confidence, and they're purchasing these concepts that even millennials are doing. And these millennials sometimes have a little more knowledge, and they understand their culture so well. So instead of helping, which is what my goal is with this podcast, they manipulate these kids by selling these courses that they invested 2 hours of their time.
Yeah.
And how do you see that affecting our generation? Do you think that it's going to have long-term good, negative effects, and why?
I think it's definitely gonna have bad long-term effects because right now the economy is kind of going well. So, but what I mean by that is if you actually want to start a business and you put in the work, there is a lot of possibilities you will succeed as long as it's something interesting and a little different than everyone else, and you focus on the internet, right? What's going to happen though down the line in 10 years from now or 15, 20 years from now when things are going to change, because things will change, and let's say a kid started following business just because of the hype, and all of a sudden like he's truly not that good at it, or he doesn't really like it, or he hasn't seen big struggles yet in his entrepreneurship journey, and all of a sudden in 10 years from now or 5 years from now the economy changes, or he finds out he actually doesn't like that, and then he's completely lost, right? Because it's different to be lost at 18, 20, and it's than to be lost when you're like 30, 35 all of a sudden.
You remain a kid, but you're in a 40-year-old body.
Exactly. And another thing I think is doing all of these like coaches and course creators, they're just selling a bunch of courses or dreams to people. Like they're literally showing their best moments of their lives, right? Their lifestyle. And they just do that to make money, right? To get people to follow them and buy their product or service. And all these people that just follow them, they're just lost, and they just follow them without knowing why or what's happening. They just look at the good side of it and they think that's entrepreneurship, right? It's all fun, it's sexy, going out all the time, etc. That's definitely going to have terrible effects on many people.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It's kids, right? There's a lot of people in our generation, millennials and post-millennials, that are currently out there selling this lifestyle, like laptop lifestyle, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of kids are getting into that and thinking, oh, I'm just going to go pursue that instead of college. But it's like you're going really from one trap in that you've set yourself, because college is not necessarily a trap if you know what you're doing. If it's
based on what you do,
exactly. And you're digging another hole for yourself because you're bringing that same self, the same version of you, into a different scenario,
right?
But you're expecting different results, but you remain the same person. Exactly. So you're still lack self-confidence, you still lack
you just
character,
change the environment,
you still lack integrity, you still lack commitment, you still lack responsibility. And that brings me to, because the reality for me, the way I see it, is the only way for you to start making choices in which are to your best interest is if you adopt a responsibility over your life. But it's kind of tricky, because how can you adopt a responsibility over the choices you make and for your life if you don't have self-confidence?
I agree with that. You do need self-confidence in order to make your own choices and really contemplate on them if they look like the best choice that you can make at the moment. But why do you think people grow up without self-confidence? Is it parents? I just think that age?
There's this idea, right, that the world is a paradise filled with snakes, and parents, instead of teaching their kids on how to defend themselves, they go out into this paradise and they stay in front of their kids as an authority,
to always protect them,
and they protect the kids from the snakes. But in reality, what parents should be doing is they should be teaching their kids on how to use a sword. I'm saying a statement that Jordan Peterson said, right? So that once they go out into the world, they can defend themselves and make something out of those snakes that they
at least
destroy.
Let them fail with give them enough room to fail, but fail in a good way, right?
But at the same time, parents are not doing that. It's either they are complete absent, meaning that their kid has zero support, and that self-confidence comes from no support, and the lack of self-confidence, or it's the other way. Parents are too overprotective,
right?
Or they've given too much to their kids to the point that they never had to struggle for something, and then it's not that they lack self-confidence in the aspect that they don't have support. It's that they cannot live independent of that support.
Yeah. And just to build on that, I have people in my own family who are actually 30-year-old and up, where they actually cannot live without their parents' approval. And it gets to the point that I'm not going to bring up stories, but I've heard and I've seen stories myself that are actually funny. And I don't know. I'm glad that wasn't the way my mom raised me, at least.
Mhm.
But I've seen that in my family.
Yeah.
So it's it can be really
Mhm.
bad and
Because
pretty
here's the
sad.
thing, like as soon as you lose self-confidence or self-identity, if your self-worth is put in the wrong place, as soon as you feel any uncomfortableness with who you are or
Mhm.
your pursuits, if you doubt like am I doing the right things, you're going to start finding pleasures to run away from that.
Right.
So people just party all entire day,
They do
or
drugs.
they
They
do
drink.
drugs or whatever. They hide behind a relationship and put their
Yeah.
self-worth in their
Yeah.
partner,
Yeah.
or they think that romance is going to bring the true satisfaction in their lives. But
Or they
when
idolize things. Yeah.
they start idolizing all these material things, but in reality, it's just to cover up sand, put sand over the mess.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, because as soon as a wind comes, that thing, reveals itself. It comes back to the
Again.
surface. And there's, I think, this commonality in our generation in which people are afraid to talk about these uncomfortable moments
Mhm.
and difficulties, their insecurities, their fears, how they grow up, or even tell the truth about themselves to the world, because they're afraid either to be rejected, to be judged, and they will regardless, right?
Yeah. Of course.
That's
cannot
the
change
funny
that.
part about it. It's like
Exactly.
whether you tell the truth or not, you will be judged. Whether you tell the truth or not, you will be rejected,
Yep.
and you will be stepped on, and all these things, right? So it's like better at least make the choices that I want to make, and better at least be truthful and become a person of responsibility over my actions, and try to set my life in order,
Mhm.
and fail inevitably, because you will in certain aspects, but at least you'll grow, and you've made yourself a better person than who you were, and inevitably made the world a better place by doing so. But I don't see anyone choosing that path. And why do you think that
A
is?
few people, because it's hard, it hurts, and it's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever is uncomfortable, people tend to just run away from it.
Repel
Exactly.
against it.
And they just bring a bunch of usually pleasure or distractions in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you keep doing that, you just, you end up being older, not
Kid.
really knowing what you do, just doing it because it's a
Mhm.
routine. And you see that a lot around us, honestly. I can
Mhm.
say my parents are kind of like that. And many of my friends' parents are like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it is.
Because here's the thing, we are far from perfect. You and I,
Of course.
we fail constantly.
All the time.
And
I agree.
one of the things that I've learned is to be vulnerable and be willing to talk about these failures, because I know that there's people out there that think that they're the only one going through what they're going through, and sometimes it takes the courage to be willing to express yourself in ways that society doesn't.
Yeah.
And people think that that's a weakness, but there's a difference between weakness and vulnerability, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Uh,
It's completely different.
You being vulnerable, you kind of shed light into someone else's life, because they pass to see that it's normal for humans to go through these stages in life in which you have no clue who you are. You don't know if you're making the right choices. You don't know if you're in the right pursuit of your career. If you don't know if you should be with someone, or if you're ready to commit. You don't know if you've overcome your insecurities. But essentially, you need to make a choice, right? And there's only two choices. Either you adopt a responsibility, and that responsibility brings a burden,
Mm-hmm.
and that burden gives you meaning, because now you have something to get you through the day, or you have a responsibility to take care of. And
Right.
the other side is, I'm not gonna take responsibility. I'm gonna remain comfortable, but I'm actually not living by making that choice. I'm just existing.
Exactly. And you see that mostly around you.
Yeah.
That's what you see.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are gonna watch this, and they're gonna be like, I'm the one that's taking the responsibility.
You
right?
always hear that. When you hear that from someone, you're always like, oh,
You're
on the
like
other
so
side.
biased. But the reality is that even us, we find ourselves choosing the other way sometimes.
Yeah.
Because
Of course.
it's like how our brain is programmed for survival and comfortableness.
Yeah.
And the brain doesn't know how to like differentiate between like the uncomfortable zone in the aspect of putting yourself out there in the world and failing forward. It sees that as like completely dangerous to the point that it can bring destruction to you, and it doesn't know how to differentiate between like actually having a lion in front of you to just maybe make your bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, and
it's the same thing because our brains are really, really old.
Yeah, and
I
they
remember
haven't
I heard this
evolved
somewhere
from that
Jordan
aspect.
Peterson. Yeah, it's the same with like anything that comes to your life that's uncomfortable or seems scary to do. The brain sees it as, like you said, like a lion in front of you trying to eat you.
Yeah.
So it's gonna act the same way. Survival, like trying to get away from it, cover it up, like do something else, distract you, right? So you see that a lot around you, man. And the thing is, I'm not gonna lie, the world needs people like you, people like me, that are gonna be vulnerable, and we can tell them like it's okay that you're going through this struggle, or like it's okay that it's hard. It was it's not easy.
Yeah,
right?
It was never meant to be.
Exactly. It's always hard for everyone. But then at the same time, it's kind of sad and selfish when you see people who kind of like have made it and they just do not seem to care about other people who are still climbing. And all they show them is the best little parts of their lifestyle and only the highlights.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty selfish.
Because here's the thing. Because they're not living a lifestyle, they're living a business. And when it comes to business, it's if you have a for-profit business, it's to maximize profit, right? And in order for you to maximize profit, you're gonna use marketing techniques.
Exactly.
And those marketing techniques is, what are the pain points of this generation, or what are the pain points of my client, in which in this case is people or age. Yeah. And what are their pain points? Maybe they don't have a lot of experience because they barely just got in college. They don't have a lot of money. A lot of them are not dependent. Their parents don't have a lot of money to provide, and if they do, it's not like they're just gonna give away to do anything, because they know you don't have the capability today. And no experience, no time. You're gonna quit your 9 to 5. You're not gonna have to pursue the traditional route that everyone in your life is telling you need to do. And all you need to do is just buy the system that I've created and I've invested loads of times and money into coaching, into perfecting the system, blah blah blah, and you're gonna succeed.
Yeah, all they show them is
all
just
marketing.
Yeah,
because if they were to say, "Oh, you will succeed," but it's gonna take 1 year of working your ass off, crying, and failing and getting rejected, so that you can learn what it is to grow a character of a businessman, and actually develop a character of like resilience and integrity, and being like, okay, I'm gonna do my best no matter what, and all these aspects of a strong character, so that you can, once you develop that, you can actually start making progress. If I was to tell you, you'd probably be like, does it make sense now me pay $1,000 for this, or should I just actually do what was on my mind instead, since I'm gonna struggle anyway? Because in the deep down, I already knew that if I pursued what I wanted, it was gonna be struggle anyway. But now you're trying to look for the easy route because you're uncomfortable about taking the uncomfortable route.
And that's how you grow a business really fast. Yeah. Literally, you just sell people their dreams. And it's been happening throughout the century, like with other types of business models. And now that's the popular one. It's like coaches and courses, like selling people what they need, like the sexy lifestyle, women, cars, watches, traveling. And people seem to be so lost that they just kind of like fall in that trap. Like
I'm sad to see men in our generation, dude, how desperate they are to get girls.
Oh man,
how desperate they are to show the other guys that they're stronger, they're better, stronger, they make more money. It's like this, and they associate that with masculinity, right? It's like you need to prove that you're a man, but like if you need to do all that to cover the insecurities that you don't want to deal with, which is like, oh, I overvalue my own well-being, I value people's opinions over my actual well-being, because that's the real issue behind it. Or I overvalue attention, I seek attention from people, and that's what I think brings me purpose to my life. And the second that I don't have that attention, I feel worthless. And dealing with those issues and overcoming that, so that you can actually start setting your life in order, and actually partner up maybe with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and be someone of commitment, and bring that to the table, and bring that to your business, to your clients, to your friends, to your family. But no one wants to do that. Everyone wants the material things, the superficial selves. They just want the superficial, because the superficial is filled with like this quick scheme and this quick pleasure
Yeah.
that never truly satisfies
'Cause
your
it fades
goals,
off too
satisfies
easy.
your deepest desires.
Yeah.
And you will never find that in superficiality, right? You always got to go deeper, go the extra mile,
Yeah.
in your business, in your life, in your family, in your relationships.
And the thing is, it's deciding to go deeper is really not that hard. Going deeper is it's hard by itself, yeah, but actually taking the first step to that path is not that hard. It's as easy as opening up a journal and writing down your thoughts,
Yeah.
or going to the mirror, looking at yourself and asking questions like, who am I? Who am I truly though?
Yeah.
Like, what
It's
am
not
I
like you're
for?
gonna actually come up with the answer, but
No.
you may
You
get
start.
one
You
one
start.
step closer. Yeah.
Yeah. One step closer, and if you keep doing that, or you start looking at the friends you have right next to you, right?
Association.
Yeah. And the activities that you're doing daily, that's where it starts, by observing
Yeah.
what you do daily. You'll start going deeper into yourself and finding yourself, understanding yourself better, which is going to bring you to
and
take better
consequently
actions.
bringing a best version of yourself to the world.
Exactly.
So inevitably your business will get better.
Yeah,
Your
everything.
relationship with your girlfriend, your wife, with your family, with your friends, your personal health will get better. But it's funny because it's not like our generation deep down doesn't know it. It's in all of us. It's like
We all know
this morality is there. Like it's telling you that the things you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
It's
You
telling
always
you
know
that
what you
like,
have
oh,
to
like
do,
you're
but you
just a
don't do it.
quitter and you don't know how to experience tough moments,
Yeah.
and you're just running from it. You know that. Everyone knows it, right? But it's I find it that sometimes there's different personalities, and there's people that need to hear that from other people in order to take action. There's some people that need to associate them with people that are already taking action, so that they can that success can like they can pull the success from people and put it into themselves.
Right.
And there are some people that can just look at themselves in the mirror themselves and start taking action.
Yeah.
And you need to figure out who
you are.
you are, and start taking action towards that. Because the second that you put yourself in a black and white box that everyone's the same and everyone wants the same thing and everyone should pursue the same thing in the same ways, you generalize and you miss the importance of your own gifts, because you do have your own talents, your own gifts,
And your own ways of learning and
interpreting the
acting.
world.
Yeah. Everyone has their own ways.
Yeah.
So you gotta look.
So, what do you think it's a really good habit that you've implemented into your lifestyle that has helped you change that aspect of your life of like, developing responsibility, building some self-confidence, and essentially bring a better version of you to the world?
Let's see. Well, one of them that comes to my mind right away is journalizing. Journalizing plus planning out my day, putting a schedule in my life, that has truly helped me because, for example, like I never used to journal or write down the things I have to do daily, and I was always lost. I don't know. I was just kind of like existing, living life.
Yeah.
And as soon
Going
as
with the flow.
yeah, exactly.
YOLO.
And as soon as I started doing that, everything slowly after a couple months started getting in order, and I started understanding who I am, what I want to do. But I was being really clear with myself and my thoughts on the paper. It was just me and the paper. No one sees that.
Trying to be as unbiased as possible.
Exactly, yeah.
And as
always,
honest as possible.
I remember like sometimes I was just writing stuff and then I was like, wait, are you sure? Literally, I was writing, like, are you sure? Question mark. And then I was writing like another page about it, right? Like, honestly, it sounds funny, but these little things are what's going to get you there. So I think that's an amazing habit to have, as well as a lot of reflecting. Not I kind of want to say meditating, but it's not meditating. Just closing your eyes at some point of the day when you're alone and just letting thoughts come to you and see what comes to you, and then
just try to like understand why.
Yeah, why they come to you. Yeah, because you're gonna realize some crazy thoughts are gonna come to your mind.
Yeah.
and some funny ones, some random ones, and then when you start asking yourself, why did that come, or why at that time of the day, all of these little actions, when you put them together, improvement and growth comes.
Yeah.
As a person, and
You
build
find
a character.
patterns, and then you see if those patterns are positive or negative.
Yeah.
And then you find why are these negative patterns are coming in? Is it because of, my past, and where in the past, why am I still there? Why am I carrying those traits?
Because many people don't accept things from their past, so they kind of like just carry them along. Right. I agree. What do you say? What is one habit that has helped you pretty much?
Honestly, journaling has been of great help. I've been doing it for a long time, and reflecting also. But I think that practicing humility and like not just to myself but to others, like trying to be as truthful as possible.
You're right.
To myself, because we lie to ourselves a lot and consequently lie to others, because you bring to the table who you are.
Exactly.
And I find that people treat the others exactly how they treat themselves. So if you have developed some self-compassion for yourself, and you realize how bad you can be, you're going to be able to treat others with more empathy, because you're going to be like, wow, they're just as useless as I am sometimes. But that's okay, because it's not like, maybe now we can help each other and
exactly
become less
get
useless.
Somewhere. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that just trying to develop humility as part of my character, and genuinely, right? Like, try to see, like, am I seeking attention? Like, and do I want the approval of others? Am I seeking influence for the sake of it? Like, do I want to be recognized as someone that I'm not? Do I want to prove to people that I'm somebody? And
all of these questions.
And all of these questions, and like trying to humbly answer them. And if the answer is yes, like, are you seeking others' attentions? And the answer is yes, then like, why? And try to like understand why. And it's like, I want people's attention because I never got the support from my parents for not that that's the case, but like just putting an example out there. Right. So now maybe I need to overcome the feeling that I need to be accepted by someone in order to start taking action on something, and actually understand that if I do depend on someone else's acceptance, that's actually going to slow me down on improving who I am, because I'm always going to be relied on an outside like force to influence my decisions.
In order to get there, another thing is, since you said ask why, if you keep asking why like 5 to 6 times, you'll see that you always get to kind of like the same point. So that is actually another good habit that you can have when a thought comes that's just weird or different. Ask why, and then don't stop there. Ask why again. Why? Like you said,
you get to why because of that.
Right, and then why. After a few whys, you'll see you get to the end.
You get
to the root of the problem, which is going to just give you a clear path to what you should start thinking about or fixing. I do that many times.
That brings me to a really important point, which is, in order for you to find a solution to your problem, you need to first realize there's a problem in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
And
you need to accept there's a problem.
And that's why I think I mentioned humility as like an important virtue and part of that of something that I'm constantly improving my character.
Because it takes humility to do that.
The only way you can analyze a problem and see as a problem in your life is if you're humble enough to accept it. Because if there's pride, you'll never see it. No. You're always going to think you're better than others. You're always going to think everyone's mistakes. You know the amount of people that I've seen like talk about like, man, all my friends say this about me. And it's like, man, if everyone's telling you the same thing, there's
probably some truth to it. There's probably some truth to it.
There's probably some truth. Maybe you are inconsiderate. Maybe you don't make time for others. Maybe you are selfish. And if you're not willing to hear those truths, and everyone that tells you you're gonna kind of get defensive and not understand that some people genuinely care for you and they say things from a constructive perspective.
That's why you should never get angry when someone tells you like you suck or you're dumb. Like, why do you do this, right?
Because
you should always consider what they say.
Yeah.
Even if it makes you angry at the moment, just be like, okay,
Matter of fact,
why do you believe that?
No, but matter of fact, that if you do get angry, that proves that they're right.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because
But
if
good
you
luck,
were
good luck
sufficient,
understanding that.
But if you're sufficient, like let's say you say, "Oh, bro, you're awful at that," and you don't get angry, and you're like, "Okay, why?" And you really get to the bottom of it. Maybe that person is right, but maybe that person is just jealous. But even then, you won't get angry because you know who you are. You know
Right.
what you're doing. But the fact that you do get angry or you get defensive proves that there's truth to what they're telling you. And maybe it's not that exact sentence or subject that they're pointing out, but there's something deeper that you need to work on that you're just hiding from. And I think that it's that point, like you need to understand that there's a problem before even seeking a solution. I think it's key to something that people in our
big,
generation
right?
need to start developing the
Big, and
mindset.
people don't talk about
Yeah.
it. People always talk about, like, you always hear, like, let's find a solution to this problem or that problem, right? But they never actually sit down and say, let's see what is this problem, why it's there.
Yeah.
Like, really analyze it, right? What it comes down to. And after you analyze that and accept it, okay, like, there's a problem, this is a problem, this is why it's there. Now, what is the best way to solve it? I don't know, man. It's just sometimes I feel like we, all of us, I mean, I don't just mean just other people except me, right? I mean, all of us, including us, really need to work on ourselves.
Yeah.
Because it always comes down to you. Everything comes down to you. Either if it's success in business or success in your character or anything you want to do or achieve or become, always comes down to you, to your character.
Yeah. And what would you say is your favorite book that relates to the kind of this topic, like maybe
of responsibility and
just like or like the reason why it brings like meaning into your daily activities?
It's the book I told you that before by Viktor Frankl.
Man's Search of Meaning.
Man's Search of Meaning. Yeah, that book is amazing.
Yeah.
Truly, I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I've read it. I've reread it.
That book is truly amazing.
It's a powerful change of mindset.
Man, like that guy, the main character, truly found meaning deeper in himself and went through that terrible environment and these terrible events. He got out of it,
came out
alive
to write a book to empower people.
Exactly.
It's like he found hope at the place where most people wouldn't argue there was no hope.
Yeah. And he came out of it even stronger than before. And all he did, look, that's the funny thing. It was all personal work. Like, there was no outside for, so that's what we're saying. It's all inside you. It literally all starts with you, inside you. How healthy you are psychologically, like how deep have you looked in yourself?
How like understand like how bad can I be, and how can I run from that, and what's the opposite of it? How can I be good? What's the actions that I need to take? Yeah.
I think people need to go home and ask themselves, what am I doing? Do I really like what I'm doing? And a few of these questions, and usually they'll be surprised.
The greatest thing about, I think, at the same time, even though there's like a lot of things to improve in our generation, it's the fact that we're so young. Because at the same time, it's like you can feel like, wow, like I've been for the past years living like this, like there's no hope for me. It's like, dude, you're 20, you're 25, you're 28, you're 22, like you're 19. It's like, dude, you got time. It's like, and the fact that you're realizing that, it's the start of change.
Yeah.
So yeah. And how can people reach you, like if they want either help related to maybe the niche you're in, which is marketing, or if they see that you have a strong character and you're humble to share your vulnerabilities and they need someone to talk to, or whatever the case may be, how can people reach you?
Of course, they can reach me on Instagram at Stratos Chat. And also soon I'm starting a YouTube channel. It's going to be called the same, Stratos Chat. So if you guys need any help with personal work or problems or marketing or starting a business, anything related to that stuff, please reach out and I'll do my best to either help you myself or refer you to someone I know that can help you.
Perfect. All right, Stratos,
So,
it was amazing having you here, dude. I
loved
appreciate
it.
you taking the time to come embark on this endeavor with me.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
And I hope that a lot of people get value from this and apply it to their lives, which is the most important part, right?
I hope so too. I
All
hope
right.
so.
I'll see you soon.
I'll see you, brother. Thank you. Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Hey there, thank you so much for watching today's episode. I highly encourage you to go ahead and take the content in which you have just listened to and apply it into your life. I think it's very important for us as individuals to not just watch or listen to content, but actually get those ideas and concepts and lessons and apply it into our lives. Now, I would also request you to send us feedback. If you've liked today's episode or if you have not, please submit some information and tell us why. And also, if you like to hear about a specific subject, please feel free to message us and we'll go ahead and create content about that specific subject. Or even if you would like me to interview a specific person, make sure to reach me on my social media platforms, whether on my YouTube or my Instagram or my Facebook. I would love to, start a conversation with you and gain some feedback in what you guys are thinking about the podcast. So thank you so much, and I hope you continue working on becoming the best version of yourself.